Welcome to the latest edition of the Inside Nutley podcast. I'm your host, Tom Greco, and today we are joined by a true Nutley legend. Carmen Lemma is arguably the greatest athlete to ever come out of Nutley High School. In fact, many of his records have stood for over 60 years. Coach Lemma joins us today to reflect on his incredible high school and college accomplishments, his time with the New York Mets organization, his return to his hometown to coach and teach, and much, much more. Welcome, Coach.
Welcome, Tom. Nice to be with you.
Great to see you. So, Coach, I'm going to take you back real quick. The year is 1957. You're pitching for Nutley. 3 consecutive games. First against Bluefield, perfect game. Then against Orange, a no-hitter with 22 strikeouts. Then you go against Clifton, a no-hitter into the 8th inning. 26 and 2/3 no-hit innings. What are your memories of that? That's incredible.
Well, the most incredible thing about that is that when I gave up that hit in the 8th inning, because we played 9 innings on Saturday in our day, and when I gave up a hit on what I thought was a good pitch, I threw a changeup to a real good hitter. I thought it would really throw him off, and he hit a ball just over second base, like a Texas leaguer shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just out of the reach of the second baseman. And with that, Ralph DeAndrea, our baseball coach, came out to the mound, took me out. He said, "You know, Carmen, you threw a stupid pitch." And he took me out. So here I was going for my 3rd no-hitter in a row. And now I'm sitting on the bench. I mean, I thought, it kind of taught me a lesson about, setting people up when you're pitching. And but I always thought I was pretty good at doing that, setting people up, because a changeup is a ball that comes in at a different speed,
Right.
and that's what I was trying to do. And the fact is, I got his speed off. Here was a great hitter named Roger Farden for Clifton, and the ball just made it out of Jimmy Baldino's reach at second base. And the coach was so angry with me, and that happened. Out, I came out. But that's the way it goes when you're pitching. And I always admired Ralph DeAndrea. He was a great coach. I mean, I became a phys ed teacher because of him, and I never took phys ed in high school because if you were uh, if you were in sports, well, you were exempt from PE, and
Right.
I was in sports all year, cross country to keep in shape, basketball to keep in shape, baseball, which was my love.
Well, yeah, but what was it like though? I mean, that's unfathomable to pitch 3 games like that in a row. I mean, what you were in like the groove of all grooves, no?
Well, there wasn't a whole lot to think about. I mean, I was having a good year. Things were basically going my way. When you're basically number one of the pitching staff, you get all the tough assignments, and it just worked out.
In the research that I've done, I don't see no one's come close to that in Nutley history.
Now, as a matter of fact, I wish somebody would have break my record. I mean, when I pitched in high school, I was 27-5.
Yeah,
I mean, that it stood for all these years. But you see, the game, as you know, Tom, the game has changed somewhat.
yep,
Not just somewhat, a lot.
yep.
Pitchers go 2 and 3 innings. I mean, my God, you look at these guys in the majors, all they do is lean back and fire. And if they're off, they come out anyway. And after 3 innings, they still come out because they got somebody else that's going to throw close to 100 miles an hour.
Right.
So, but in my day was when guys pitched 7, 9 innings. You pitched the whole game.
Right.
I mean, when I look at my record, I was 4-0 as a sophomore, and I was behind basically two all-staters. Hank Seidel made it in 55, 54, and then Bob Cacciarelli made it in 55, and then I made it in 56 and 57. So uh, it's amazing how the pitching staffs that Ralph DeAndre wound up having in those eras, and it just happened. I mean, he wasn't a pitcher. He didn't know much about pitching,
Right.
but he knew the game of baseball, of
Yep.
course. And I loved the guy. Yeah, I mean, we were really close. He just kind of led me in the right direction, and I pitched a lot.
But you are a pitching phenom from way back. I have a article here from July 1953. It says Carmen Lemma, 14-year-old pitcher for the Twin City Red Sox, pitched the finest game of his young career when he tossed a no-hit, no-run gun game last Sunday against the Newark Chiefs. That's 14 years old, coach. You were throwing no-hitters at 14
Yeah,
years old.
I don't know what happened. I got to tell you, right from Little League, I was on the very first Little League baseball team, Nutley, when they first initiated it. And I played for the PBA team, Police Benevolent Association. And our coaches, believe it or not, I came up with these names. I don't know how there's certain things you remember and a lot of things you forget,
Yeah.
you know? And the coaches were Roy Ritchie and Rob Myers, Bob Myers. And I remember these guys, and they were just parents. And my father walked up to one of the guys and said, just for the heck of it, take a look at this. I want you to see my son throw the ball. So they did. I went over to the side and they were watching me. Now, they weren't really baseball fanatics, but they saw me throwing pretty good. And we had a pitcher named Phil Dunphy, who was another lefty who threw pretty good. I can't remember who I replaced, but the other kid wasn't very good. And so I started pitching, and that was the start of my pitching career. I was just a kid. And then as you start doing that, people that have like sandlot teams come and kind of scout younger kids to be recruited for their teams. And so my next move up from there was basically CYO baseball out of St. Mary's. That lasted a year. Somebody saw me. They recruited me to be on a independent team. And I started playing for a guy by the name of Bill Murphy, who was strictly a baseball guy. He was a Seton Hall guy. He was his brother, his father. They were cops in Newark, and this guy just loved baseball, and he recruited different kids in the area, and so I played a lot of ball under him, and we played everybody you could play, and here I was pitching for him at 15, 16 years old in the summer against college kids.
Right.
So my background was really pretty extensive when you start thinking about what I did
Yeah.
in baseball.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, I was playing with guys way ahead of me, way early. And of course, that added so much more experience for me that by the time I actually pitched in high school, I was ready for it.
Right.
I only got a chance to pitch four games in my sophomore year because I had an all-stater ahead of me, and then I had the next guy was Cacciarelli. He made all-state. Then I made all-state, and then Ralph Skorka made all-state behind me. I mean, all you do is when you have pitchers like that, here's how you coach.
It's pretty
You just
easy,
kind
right?
of sit back and relax the game and
Yeah.
enjoy the game.
Let's go back into the time machine. You were born in Newark, correct?
I was born in Newark, and I could remember, listen to this about remembering stuff. I could remember my father taking me outside and just throwing the baseball to me when I was just a little guy. And my father was actually my stepfather. He married my mother when I was 2. So to me, he was my father. I never called him my stepfather. And he didn't have, and we didn't have the money to change the name. So I had to stay with the name Lemma. And it was kind of embarrassing because I would introduce my father. They would call him Mr. Lemma. I say, no, it's Mr. Capalbo.
Wow. Okay.
Uh, anyway, we'd be outside and he would be throwing me the ball all the time. And as I would catch the ball, I'd keep moving back. And I got where he couldn't even reach me anymore. So naturally, when we moved to Nutley and I got to the age of the first Little League, I was going to be an outfielder because I
Right.
was I was already pretty good at that. And because I always worked so hard, I was always obsessed on being I had to be good. I couldn't be average. I just couldn't be average. And uh, and you get that by just working hard. It's not bragging, it's just working. And that's what I did.
When did you first, I mean, were you love, was there love of baseball from day one, basically?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I lived on 8th Avenue in Newark, which was the first ward. And then Joe DiMaggio used to hang out at a place called Victoria Castle just down the street. I would see him all the time, like it was second nature. Hey, there's Joe DiMaggio. Oh, big deal. There's Joe. I saw him yesterday, you know? And there was the greatest baseball Yankee around. And I still think he was one of the greatest. Well, we know he was one of the greatest.
Yeah.
And also, I worked out with several major league teams, and the Yankees were hot on me for a while after my season as a junior. I was 12-3. I mean, not many guys had that kind of record. And I went over to Yankee Stadium several times to work out. Gil McDougall was living in Nutley, so he knew what was going on in my life. And they said, you got to take a look at this kid. So I went over. Mel Harder was the baseball coach. And I mean, I kind of really impressed him. But don't forget, from the time I was a little kid to I got to this point, I already had tremendous experience behind me. So here I am throwing fastballs and curveballs and uh, you, I, Tom, my money pitch was my curveball. I mean, uh, you couldn't hit it. I mean, when it came off the table, it didn't just roll like a lot of kids throw a curveball and it just rolled. Mine came here like this, and all of a sudden
Dropped.
took off like down, like you wouldn't believe. And I had my senior year, I had 144 strikeouts. And you remember these things because these are implanted in your head.
I want to comment on your curveball. I remember, like a lot of us, we had success in Little League and Boys League. Then I got to be a freshman and tried out, and you were throwing uh, batting practice when we were freshmen. So I saw that curveball, and you're right, I could never hit it.
Yeah.
You moved to Nutley. Tell me about that.
Well, Nutley changed our lives. My father brought us to Nutley from Newark, and I started in third grade, and it just changed our lives. I was already at St. Lucy's School, and then we were moved to St. Mary's, and it was right between, Washington School and St. Mary's, and our house was right at the bottom of a hill. So it's the best thing my dad ever did for all of us. And here's a guy who married a woman with 4 kids. Nobody had money in those days, Tom.
Right.
I ate more macaroni and you could shake a stick at. Anyway, they were great growing up days, and I must say, we had 4 children in our family. I was the baby, and I would almost be in the way because my 2 older brothers always helped my father do things around the house, and Dad would always say, "Just go out and play on the field." And the field was Washington School, right there across the
Yes.
street.
Yep.
And I go out, and you start doing that as a kid. By the time you get a little older, you turn out to be pretty good
Yeah.
because that's all I did. And consequently, I couldn't even hit a nail in straight when I got older.
What was it like growing up in Nutley during the 40s and 50s?
Nutley was Nutley. People don't understand until they actually lived there several years what a great town it is. And the people were great. Don't forget, Tom, we were in a little different era than now. I don't know a whole lot about Nutley anymore. I've been away from it for so many years. But the park system, and was always in the park system. I mean, I can remember coming out of school at St. Mary's, getting my ice skates and running up to the mud hole. And I learned to skate. I learned to play hockey a little bit. Of course, we had hockey in high school for a while, and then they stopped it for a lot of years. I think they got it back now, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, they got it back now. So uh, I was always outdoors. I was never really hitting the books. And I'll be honest with you, I was a C plus student. That was it for me. I mean, I wasn't even going to go to college. I wasn't planning college.
Right.
I wasn't the intellect. I wasn't an idiot, but I wasn't a book person so much.
Right.
So I got by and saying, well, St. Mary's made you work. St. Mary's was a great introduction to go to high school. And so 10th grade was, ninth grade was pretty easy, and then 10th. And then I just, baseball kind of carried me, you know. I mean, when you think about my life, my whole life was been, everything has happened good, has happened through playing baseball and people I met and people who saw me and remembered things. And I can't remember what some of the things some of the guys told me that I did, and I didn't even realize it, you know. But
What did you do for
nobody
fun
had
as a
it better
teenager?
than me, Tom.
What did you do for fun as a teenager in Nutley back then?
Well, we didn't have much money. I didn't do anything but be on the ball field, or during basketball season, I used to play 21, and we do it for 10 cents a game, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't have the money, but my brother had the money. So he would come with me. I would do the basket shooting, and he would put the money up, and he'd take the money. He never gave me much of it either. So I would win. He got the money, I did the work.
He was like your agent.
Exactly. He was good at that too. I can remember when he had a newspaper route, he would go in and he'd have coffee. I'd be outside with the papers. I'd go with him, and he'd be having coffee and those are wonderful days though. Wonderful days.
Now, like you said, your career at Nutley, 27-5, right? That was your record?
27-5, yeah.
Right. That's amazing. Is it true you batted 387 your senior year?
You had all my stats. Yeah. I would have made all state in the outfield.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, you know, Tom, this was really crazy. I was also a real good hitter. And
Obviously. Well, that also, I wanted to ask you about that. You hit a 450-foot shot in an oval, correct?
I hit a shot in the oval that nobody's ever hit. I hit it out of the oval, and um, you know, I can't think of his last name. His name is Carmine also, who was always trying to run for different things. He was sitting there, and he told me afterwards, nobody's ever done this. I watch all the games. Nobody's done this.
You
And
you basically hit it onto Chestnut Street, correct?
the ball landed in Chestnut Street, but you know the tree where the concession stand was?
Yes.
Okay. It went through the top of the tree. It slowed it down a little bit. And John Hasselhoff, who was our catcher when I was a senior pitcher, walked it off. And he said it, I don't know this for a fact, but he told me, and John's a pretty good guy, smart guy. And he said, Carmen, I stepped it off. It was about 450 feet.
Wow.
I mean, but it was like up. I mean, it was out. And I lost all my baseball stuff and my pictures and articles when we have Ina hit here, and that I had. It's really too bad.
Right.
But it was really too bad. But you can tell I have a lot of memories.
Oh, all right. So you graduate high school, you go to Cincinnati. Were there any other colleges that you looked at?
Well, uh, all the other colleges, see, it's another thing that happened with Cincinnati when I went there. Just when I graduated, you had to be a sophomore to play varsity. I already knew I was ready for varsity just by my own work. And I I was offered scholarships all around the country, but I didn't take them because Cincinnati was going to let me play as a freshman. The other schools that offered me a scholarship, you had to wait till your sophomore year. That's like a year wasted for me.
Right.
My experience all from all the way up, you know? So I took Cincinnati for that one reason only. I get this scholarship, I go to Cincinnati. Here I am, this little guy, and all these big guys are out there, you know? And then I was I was 10th in the country in strikeouts, playing varsity ball as a freshman. So I had 4 years of varsity ball. Here I was on a full scholarship, costing $8,000 a semester to go in those days. I had a few cavities. They sent me to a dentist. You know, I had my appendix taken out before my senior year by an alumni doctor.
Okay.
Uh, when my parents came, they gave me one of the Cincinnati vehicles to drive that was red and black, and I could park that anywhere downtown. Nobody gave a ticket to those cars. You know, they had University of Cincinnati, or the red roof, the black box. It was really too. And my father says, "My God, this is like a country club." I said, "Well, I've got a good deal because I won, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you don't do this for everybody.
Yep.
If we had trouble in classes, you had tutors. So after my freshman year, I figured, heck, but this, I'm going to stay. I've
Right.
got a pretty good deal. And I never got the offer I wanted. I wanted 25 in those days. The highest offer was at the time was 18. So I said, no, I'm not doing that.
You're gonna stay.
And nobody went to college in my family. It meant a lot for me to stay in college. You
Right.
know, the kid made it. Here I am, a freshman, and I was a little outspoken sometimes. There's no.
No, you? No. Come on.
So one day I walked up to the coach. I saw the team, and I said to him, "Coach," Ed Jucker was his name, who was the basketball coach, became very famous in basketball. Anyway, I said, "Coach, I I can I think I could hit better than these guys." He said, "Well, most pitchers in high school were pretty good ball players, and they're pretty good hitters too." I said, "Coach, I don't think you heard me. I could hit better than all these guys." And he looked at me like, "Oh my God, I got one of these left-handers, right?" I tell him, he's going, "Well, look at this guy." So uh, I annoyed him so much that he wound up putting me in the game. And of course, I did pretty well. So I was basically pitching, but every once in a while he put me in the outfield if he needed like a pretty good bat. And because I always hit the ball. When I used to take batting practice, I used to hit the balls into the football stadium. And the guys who were doing spring football knew when I was up because all the balls were going in the stadium.
Let me run some stats by you from your stats. Still to this day, these are your records at Cincinnati. You're still first in strikeouts. You're still first in average against. You're tied for second in all-time wins, and you're seventh in innings pitched. Now that's almost 60 years later. That's got to mean a lot.
Every once in a while, I used to check all that. Of course, my age now, I don't bother because records will always be broken, but
These don't seem to be broken. The 60 years on.
it was exciting. Tom, I had such an exciting life. I never got the offer from the Yankees at all, but I had offers from a lot of the other clubs. When I was at Cincinnati, I used to work out with all the National League teams. They all wanted to sign me. And I'd be in a Cubs uniform, a Cincinnati uniform, St. Louis uniform. I met Stan Musial. He was so impressive. I didn't get a chance to talk to him a lot because he was who he was, and I was just a college kid at the time.
Right.
So, but I met a lot of great people. When these guys are watching you pitch and they make little suggestions here and there, they're really very helpful. A lot of these guys are pretty good.
Knowing you as long as I've known you, and as as well as I've known you, I've never seen you have a lack of confidence. Back then, were you the same way? Were you always were you ever nervous? Because you've always been very, very confident in whether you're pitching or you're coaching or umpiring or whatever. I'm just curious as when you were back then in front of all these kinds of superstars or at that level, were you ever nervous?
I was never nervous pitching, you know. You become a mental case when you're a pitcher. You know, you're trying to outfox the batter.
Yeah.
Uh, I remember a catcher coming out to me pitching for one of my Cincinnati games, and he was a new catcher. And he said, how come you keep changing my signs? I said, well, I'll be honest with you. If this game is lost, do you think they're going to blame you or me? He, he, he turned around, walked away. He never questioned me again. So when I shook him off to throw whatever I wanted to throw, it was all me, and it worked.
You had a 21-8 career that was your record at Cincinnati. Your ERA was 2.31, which is totally insane. And like you said, you ranked 10th in the nation with averaging 12 strikeouts a game. That's
Yeah,
again, these are records that are just unfathomable.
yeah, but you know what happened? Cincinnati, from the time I started there, I was the main gun. And then we had other pitchers that had to wait that year. The next year they waited. And then Bill Fall came along who threw everything almost at 100 miles an hour. Detroit signed him. He became successful for a short period of time. He prayed all the time. I mean, thank God. I mean, God will help you. But when you need a strikeout, you better have a good curveball.
So you graduate college. Did you immediately join the Mets organization? Is that how it worked?
Exactly. I
When did
wasn't
you?
home 2 weeks, and the Mets, I got a phone call from the Mets, and I didn't get a lot of money, but I was going to get my chance to play professional baseball. So I take the deal. Uh, Gil McDougall drove me to New York to get the train because it stops right in Raleigh. So I get, imagine Gil McDougall taking me to the train station. And I get down there, and they did. Enos Slaughter was the manager. I love this guy. He was really something. I pitched my first game, and I went like 6 innings, and they took me out, put a pitcher in, a reliever, and we won the game. I wasn't going bad, but I needed a little help. First organized ball game. And then as things went on, I mean, within the second week, they immediately let go of two left-handers because it looked like I'm going to be with the team. I knew I was going to be with the team because three guys had a room that goes for four guys. And when they saw me pitch, they asked me to room with them. So here I was with the uh, guys who had been around a while in minor league ball, and they were asking me to come with them.
Right.
thought, hey, this is pretty neat, and I wound up staying with them that year. Anyway, it was a great year. Then the Army grabbed me, and then my life changed. And I don't want to say it went backwards because I had a great deal in the Army. Oh, the deal I had. You know what I did? I took care of the mound. That was my during baseball season. And because of my phys ed background, I ran a track meet for Fourth Army headquarters.
I want to get the time frame right though. So you go to go to Raleigh in North Carolina. Then you go right into the Army. Why after Raleigh? Is that the time frame?
After the Army, I went to spring training, and I was doing pretty good there. I was doing so good that my contract, and this had to do, I'm sure, partly with my age, already 26. I was older than some of the other guys they had at the early spring training, by the way. So these were going to be the hopefuls for the Mets. And I was one of them. So anyway, we go down there, and I have a pretty good spring at the big camp in St. Petersburg. Really cool, really cool. Work like a dog. Anyway, run, 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 run. And you throw up and you run again. So now I'm doing decent. Threw in a couple of scrimmage games. One game I turned around to get the rosin bag. Casey Stengel, it's this far away from my face. He said, I know about you. Gil McDougal called me about you. I want you to know I'm watching you.
Wow.
All I said was, thanks, Case. I turned around because I'm pitching a game. But he was crazy. He would walk around and start talking to guys during the game. That's the way he was. It was really something. So anyway, I go to the AAA camp. I have a good couple of 3 weeks. I'm pitching. I had 16 and 2/3 innings in without giving up a run. Now it's getting close to where spring training's over because we've been there a month already. Anyway, the major league club goes north, double A, triple A, double A, and all the others all left for their positions around the country. One of the mainstay pitchers on our pitching staff for the team said, Carmen, you made the pitching staff. Everybody's gone. I'm with the AAA team. 2 days later, the night before we were supposed to leave, somebody from the major league club was being sent down to AAA who had a lot of money behind them. And they moved me down
Oh wow.
right off the bat. And this is where the politics and the money gets involved.
Right.
This kid was younger. He was 19. He had more money behind him. We got to go. When you look at the ages, I was 26, should have been there. All right. That didn't make a difference. They just did what they thought would be the right move. I understand the move, by the way. Okay. Anyway, so I go to double A. Now I have a child born. I'm disgusted because things aren't going my way. I could see what's going to happen. It's going backwards.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened. And I pitched, so I go to I go to the double A club, and I get 2 starts. I needed help in both games. I win the first one, I lose the second one. They put me in relief. I never pitched in relief, ever. Tie game, 3-3. They bring me in. Nobody out, bases loaded,
Oh wow.
pitching to 2, 3, and 4. I gave up 1 run. That wasn't charged to me, of course, but this is good. Bases are loaded, and only 1 run comes in.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm so happy. I look like one of the major leaguers walking off the mound like, there you go, baby. Whether you like that, I'm like hot stuff now, right? We come back. They said, we're going to send you to Auburn. I, I, I was so depressed that I go home to Nutley, where my wife's kind of waiting for me now. And I said, it's going to be over soon, I can tell. In the meantime, they call up and find me. Where the hell are you? You're supposed to be up in Auburn pitching for our team. I said, I'll be there. I had trouble with my car. I had to get a new, they got me a car and everything. So now I drive up to Auburn and I'm late a few days, but now I don't care. I could see the writing on the wall, Tom.
When did you decide to come back and live in Nutley and raise your family?
Well, actually, I hadn't been home in a lot of years by this time. I was 4 years at college, a couple years in the Army, then I played ball. So now I'm home. And of course, my dream was always to coach at Nutley. You know, if things weren't working out, of course, I wanted to do that.
Were you hired as a teacher first, though, before becoming a coach at Franklin School?
I got the teaching job, and then they said, Carmen, the JV baseball job is open. Do you want it? I said, of course. And sure enough, during that time, things worked out where Lou Costanza got the job at his hometown in Dunedin, or Dunmore, that's it, Dunmore, PA. And he went back home and coached there.
What are some of your memories about Franklin School?
Well, I loved the kids. I really enjoyed what I was doing. It was like, geez, I'm getting paid for doing this. This is great. And I'll tell you what I used to do. The kids that were not good, who always get, never picked for teams. And when you start that stuff and you choose a guy to pick teams, the kids who are no good never get picked. And they're like, you could see their heads drop. You could see it. I never did that. Never, ever did that. I made the teams. I put some good kids with some bad kids that couldn't do anything, let's say, they were not the non-athletes.
Right.
And I gave everybody an equal opportunity. Everybody had the bat. And you know how kids ditch each other where they want to get up again, so they push themselves in line? I, I pitched the softball games. So I was right there near the fence at Franklin School where I could watch everybody. But I was pitching, I'd watch but nobody ditched. Because I told them you won't even get up anymore, you
Yep.
know? So it gave everybody a chance. At quarterback in football season, everybody had the quarterback. I don't care if you can throw the ball 30 inches. Everybody got their chance. And you could see these kids, their hearts lifting because they had a chance to do something instead of getting pushed in the back all the time, their whole life, never getting picked.
You spent 13 years as the Nutley High School coach, baseball coach, right?
14 years.
14 years?
Nutley's always been really pretty good in baseball, I must say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't I wasn't the kind of coach I guess Ralph DeAndre was. I never had his records. And quite honestly, with all the success that I had and all the work that I did and all the years that I coach, we weren't fantastic.
Right.
But I had standout ball players here and there,
Right.
but they were never together.
Right.
The only time that happened was my first year. And I got to tell you, I wanted to mention some guys I think really could use a little shout out because they were really great guys. And for instance, my first year as a head coach, we were absolutely outstanding that year. That's the only year we were outstanding, and with me as a coach. But these guys, this Ken Inglis was all state. I remember their names. John Lucas was a catcher. I had four guys on the first team, all county. They looked like we could beat most colleges with these guys. I'm not kidding you. We beat them. But,
That was the
like
67.
Tommy Buell. I don't know if you don't know these guys. Bob Merrilees, Artie Zinicola, Ray Ritaco. I mean, you know those names.
Yeah.
But some of the guys that who were great hitters, you remember the name Donnie Claus?
Yes.
Donnie Claus, besides being a great football player, running back, him and Don Keywar. When I threw bat in practice, and I did a lot of the bat to save my pitchers, the pitchers had a pitch during practice, but I wouldn't let them overdo it, just enough to be ready when they pitched the next couple of days. So I did a lot of that. And again, because I could throw more strikes, guys got up in a hurry, we went around. Anyway, Donnie Claus and Don Keywar were the only two guys that I was almost nervous when they got up for batting practice because these two guys were line drive hitters. They would hit shots, all line drives. I mean, they could take your head off. So every time I pitch, I made sure I stayed with it the whole time. I didn't go looking for the next ball to pitch because I had somebody feeding me the ball so I could throw the next pitch. Uh, they were great hitters. I mean, I've had some great second basemen, and Danny Boughton was a good pitcher for me. Mashesky, Bob Mashesky, and then Paul Steffen went to LSU. I never saw him again. Once he went to college, never saw him again. Too bad. Gary Klopp, Joey DiGiacomo. I mean, I had some great players, but honest Tom, we didn't have great teams. Other guys who didn't know the game almost like I did better, but it was exciting. I mean, when you're watching kids develop and so forth, it, it's it's a great profession.
Was that 1967 Big Ten championship team your favorite?
Oh, without a doubt, they were really exceptional. I mean, we had a chance to bring the team to Yankee Stadium, and we were recognized and all that. That's what they do when with the better high school teams that won different things. They get these invites to Yankee Stadium, and we were there. Yeah, that was a proud moment, no doubt about it. Nutley High School was my school. This is where getting this job was like I was the youngest coach around. You didn't get head jobs at 28. You had, and if it wasn't for my background in baseball, I would have never got that job. But it was wonderful. But I had guys like Affinito with me. Affinito, I tell you, he was so special. And really, Pat Antonelli was so special. I mean, I had some great coaches with me and great players.
You had Suff on the bench too for a lot of years, right?
Suffering, suffering kept me in line. Suffering kept me in line. If I were to jump up, he'd be right there, grab my arm. And it was a pleasure having him. As you know, he did all of the statistics.
Yeah.
And we lost all of those in the flood, everything.
Wow.
Tom, I lost so much memorabilia, all my scrapbooks that started with my mother's when I was pitching.
Right.
And all that stuff is gone, all of it. And
It is.
coaching's not an easy job, not
It's
an
not.
easy, thankless. And the hours you put in, you're paid peanuts, but you don't do it for the money anyway. I mean, I did it because that was my life, baseball.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sure.
All right,
Anyway,
Coach, I'm going to show you some pictures now. So I want to tell me what first thing that comes to mind when you see them. All right.
okay. Oh my God. Yeah, Jesus. It's a lifetime ago. A lifetime ago.
That's your high school
Yeah.
yearbook picture.
They were Tom, they were such great days for me. I just loved going to school. It was great.
Life is the game to be played, so live and laugh. I think you've accomplished that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All right, how about this one? Look at this guy.
Oh, oh Jesus.
Always you were in the game, right? You were in the zone, right?
Yeah, I was. When I pitched, I was really in the zone. I
How
was in
about this
another
guy,
world. Basketball, I was a starter, but yeah, I wasn't great in basketball. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did it to stay in shape, but those were Eddie Deach was our coach.
Mr.
Every
Deach?
once in a while, I get a hot hand. I always had a pretty good long shot.
Right.
Those, yeah, that was fun.
Most
Yeah,
athletic.
most athletic, Virginia Kovac and myself. Yeah, I look like I need a pint of blood there. Yeah, it was, those are wonderful times, wonderful days.
Remember that one?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. How did you get this picture?
It's my job.
Yeah, yeah. These guys, oh, my God. Yeah,
It's your first year.
coaching.
Your first year.
Yeah, it was, uh, it was an exciting year, I must say. Kids were really good.
1971.
Nicosia and the catcher. This is
Nick Franks.
Nicky Franks.
Yeah.
Good family, nice guy. Even his sister, they were the good family. And the Nicosias were terrific, terrific people. Here, Danny Boughton and Frank Bogate. Frank was a shortstop.
19,
I,
1972.
I, okay. When I called up the coach for Brown University, I said, I have a kid who's got a great curveball. He's an A student. He would do wonderful for you at Brown University. 2 days later, the coach from Brown University, I didn't know his name, can't remember it, came down, introduced himself to me, and watched Danny pitch. And they took him. And
Really?
he had scholarship there, and he was brilliant. He became a lawyer, and he wound up being a district court judge. And then Frank Bogate, I told him, I sent him down to go to, I told him to go. He went to Florida, played for Ron Fraser, who was a Nutley graduate,
Yeah.
the pitcher.
Yeah.
Ron Fraser was the guy I used to run up from St. Mary's School to watch Ron Fraser pitch when he was in high school. So I've known Ron Fraser a good part of my life. I told him about this kid, Frank Bogate. He looked smooth as anything, played shortstop, coming across the bag for a double play. He looked like just gliding. He was so smooth, and he had a great arm. Uh, he did well for himself. He was a lawyer also. He did well for himself. I had a great life, great baseball life, and great friends. And if you don't make it, there's some kids that hated me too.
Wow, that's the nature of being a coach.
But yeah, you got to hang in there with all that stuff.
So you were put into the Nutley High Hall of Fame in 1988. What was that like?
Yeah, that was like that. That's always an honor. I mean, I think anything that stays there for a long time, like the plaques, are they still up there? I haven't been
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if my baseballs are still in the cabinet.
I think they are. Everything's still there.
But I had three baseballs in there, three no hitters, and the perfect game, of course, one of them, and that's always an honor. And I mean, Tom, honestly, I was really blessed. I mean, I worked like a dog to be good at what I was doing in everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, I missed some breaks. And I know my mouth got me in trouble sometimes. I know that. So, a lot of guys, and it's funny, they always remember the bad stuff.
Yeah.
They don't bring up the good stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Well,
And
that's what we're trying to do
but
here.
that's the way life is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can do 100 good things. One bad thing, That's what the guy will remember.
Oh yeah. Let me ask you, you have any memories? Because I have a lot of memories of you being the official at softball, the men's softball leagues. You must have seen some
Oh,
crazy stuff
softball,
there.
Ernie Gardy, those were great years for me too. Being with Ernie, and then we'd go out for coffee after the games, every night, It was like it was such a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Now that I'm old, I'm going to be 87.
Wow.
And I kept my shape. I've even lost weight because I don't I don't want to get heavy. I'm not that kind of person.
Right.
And you got to keep yourself looking as good as you can look. And this is it. This is as far as it gets.
All right, coach, I'm gonna do a quick hits. We call quick hits. I'm gonna ask you something. You tell me what first comes to mind, okay?
Go ahead.
Okay. What's your favorite Jersey Shore town?
I never went to the shore.
Really?
Can you believe it?
No. Tell me
When you
why.
guys were down on the shore swimming, I was pitching ball games on the weekends in the county league, and I played for Essex County, Morris County, and Passaic County. I was always pitching for pay. So it's amazing. My family didn't have the money to go to the shore when we were kids. We didn't have money. And that's the way it was. But I never even thought about that stuff because I was always playing. I was in uniform playing a baseball game.
Wow, that's a great.
I
I've
mean,
never heard that answer.
I can't even tell you what the towns are like.
That's
Isn't
great.
that crazy?
That's crazy, but it's
Everybody
great.
would run to the shore. I never went down.
Wow. All right. Frank Sinatra or Frankie Valli?
Sinatra,
Okay.
without a doubt.
Yankees or Mets?
Well, I was always a Yankee fan, but I've been a bit of a Met fan too, being with the Mets. But the Yankees with the pinstripes when you were a kid, that was the team. You know, I think every kid who plays baseball says, "Boy, I'd love to be a Yankee," and I wanted to be a Yankee too. But Jerry Coleman was the guy who put the nix on that, and I understand because I won the game easy. I was, you know, a lot of strikeout. He saw something that he didn't like, and I don't know what it was. But only it takes one guy like with a big name to say no,
Right.
or even a big scout.
Yeah.
But when they send him out to look at me, this was big time. And it's too bad I didn't have one of my stellar games. And I had a lot of stellar games, but that's the way it goes, Tom. You got to live with it. You got to hang in there.
All right. Giants or Jets?
I was always a Giant fan, always. I was never, and even to this day, I'm still not a Jet fan.
Okay.
I just, my good friend Murph Flanagan was always a Jets fan. I was always a Giants fan.
Okay. Favorite baseball movie?
Yeah, Field of Dreams is one of the big time movies I really enjoyed.
All right. You spent the majority of your life in Nutley. Looking back, what was it about the town that you loved most?
I guess it's just the town. You know, I just loved the town so much. Everything was easy. I don't know what words to really say. It was the people were nice. I mean, I think in the era that we grew up, and you caught the tail end of this stuff.
Yeah.
The people were nice and everybody's helpful. I mean, anywhere I never really had trouble with anybody. In any store I went in, I mean, they were all courteous. I mean, there are some people and kids that absolutely hated me. There's no doubt about it. But when you look at, I've gotten messages from kids that were these kids that couldn't throw the football and this and that. And one kid wrote to me recently, I can't even remember his name. He said, Mr. Lem, he said, I know I wasn't an athlete, but you were so nice to everybody when we were in class. I never Uh, the good kids always take care of themselves. You never have to worry about those kids. You got to worry about the kids that aren't so good. These are the kids that need your guidance, need your help.
All
But
right,
I
Coach,
feel
last
good.
question. What are you most proud of?
I don't know, my baseball life, I run into a lot of wonderful people. I was very fortunate. I didn't have to do a lot of things to get where I got because eventually we wound up doing very well. I always had people that were helping me, always with everything. Like I said, I couldn't even hit a nail in straight, but I always had people to, I would call a friend and they come and do it, and do this and do that. And, uh, I missed out a lot on a lot of things in life, and the family I have is, they did everything for me, everything. It's
Coach Carmen,
amazing. I got this one last thing about this. I went a long way on my curveball. Let me put it that way. You know, that's really unusual. So I'm not unhappy that I didn't get to the bigs. It was a great experience and got me places and people that I would have never ever known or met. And it's been everything for me. But I got in trouble sometimes with my mouth. I know it, and I apologize to some people. It was
I,
a great life.
Coach Carmen Lemma, thank you so much for spending time with us on Inside Nutley.
I tell you, you really brought me back to a lot of memories I haven't talked about in so many years. I really appreciate that, and thank you so much for
Thanks,
taking your time
Coach.
to do this and giving me this opportunity. It's been great. I feel like I'm back in Nutley for an hour.
It's my pleasure. I'm sure everybody who watches this
All
will feel
right.
the same.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Tommy. God bless.
Thanks.
Take care.